Good evening, ladies and germs. I just flew in from the coast, and boy, are my paws tired. My car is so old, it's insured against fire, theft, and dinosaur stampedes. But I want to tell you, take my dog, please.
It must have been one of your better nights.
I was in rare form. Step this way, folks. We'll continue with our tour of the Cat Museum. Now, this wing honors some of the true heroes of catdom. This is Dr. E. Leopold Wisniewski. This man wasted over $6 million trying to perfect an inflatable scratching post. Dumb. And this exhibit honors Buttons, the cat who set the world's horse-swallowing record when he successfully swallowed one horse. Tied for second place as everyone else in the entire world. And that's the Klopman Diamond. But what I really want to show you is out here. This lake is very important in the history of cats. There's a legend associated with this lake, if you'd like to hear it. Good, I'll tell it. The legend of the lake, in verse no less. A couple thousand years ago, or maybe even more, a band of prehistoric cats was living on this shore. They were a savage breed of cat you'd never want to meet, and what really made them savage was the food they had to eat. For breakfast, they would dine on mud. For lunch, a rock or two. And dinner time was quite a treat when serving guppy stew. Each night they eat alleged food, then celebrate and dance. But one was just not satisfied to dine on rocks and ants. A handsome, hungry cat was he, and truly a gourmet. He knew the food he wanted, and he'd dream of it all day. For far across the waters was an island, lush and green, and every day he looked again to drool at what he'd seen. For growing on this isle were the famed lasagna trees, a sight to bring a feline who was starving to his knees. But sadly, the lasagna trees were miles out of reach and guarded by a band of wild puppies on the beach. The other cats attempted to drive sense into his head. To make it to the island was impossible, they said, but every night lasagna trees were present in his dream, and finally he knew he had to figure out a scheme. So come the dawn, he built a sturdy boat within his cave to take him to the land of all the pasta he could crave. His girlfriend said, "You cannot make this trip, I will not let you. If by some chance you get across, the puppy dogs will get you." He said, "I'm sick of eating only mud and rocks and guppies. No lake will keep me from my dream, and neither will some puppies." And So with just his bark canoe, some courage, and a smile, he launched into the water and set out for the isle. No lake could stop our hero from the food that he did seek. No obstacle could stop him. Well, perhaps a little leak. The ship had started sinking when he gave a little shout and quickly drilled another hole to let the water out. Did not dissuade him, not one moment at a loss. He built a catapult designed to hurl him right across. A slight miscalculation in his blueprints was to blame. He'd figured out the whole thing but neglected first to aim. Give up, the other cats all cried, and though their voice was heard, he didn't heed their warning. He would fly there like a bird. At first, the wings just wouldn't work, and then it seemed they might. The trouble was he hadn't tied the wings on very tight. It was, I guess, a brave thing and a most courageous try, but cats he had forgotten were never meant to fly. For days he thought and thought and thought and thought and thought and thought. He'd look out at the island and he'd feel most distraught, for there was the lasagna blooming in the sun to bake, and blocking him the puppies and, oh yeah, the lovely lake. He would not be defeated, let a lake stand in his way. He vowed that he would feast on fresh lasagna plants today. He wouldn't jump or sail or attempt to even try. He'd swim to reach that island or he'd perish in the try. He swam with all his might to reach the island in the distance. The other cats could only watch and marvel at persistence. He swam as hard as he could swim to reach the other side. He might not reach lasagna, but at least he'd know he tried. He swam for 7 hours till he'd swum his final stroke. Waves washed him onto the shore, which is where he awoke. Excitedly, he realized it had been worth the chance. He'd made it to the island where there grow lasagna plants. You've never in your life seen such a happy, happy beast. No puppy dog would keep this kitty from his pasta feast. He swam across the lake, but what he didn't realize was prehistoric puppy dogs were 5 whole times his size. Pursued by giant puppies, there was one course he could take. Though all his strength had brought him here, he dove into the lake. Vanished in his swim, and so to mark his memory, they named this lake for him. They called it Lake Stupid. The end.